Good evening, and thank you for joining us for a captivating story about success, perseverance, and community.
Tonight, we get the chance to go behind the mind of Ray Vinson, entrepreneur and philanthropist.
And we'll visit with friends like Donald Trump, Tony La Russa, Bernie Federko, and many others.
So sit back, relax, and get ready to meet Ray Vinson, the great American entrepreneur.
Once you meet Ray, you want to sit there and talk to him all day long because you also become a student of Ray. It's not just his personality, it's not just how engaging he is, but the story he has to tell about what brought him from there to here is fascinating.
I grew up in the hills of West Virginia. My grandparents raised me from the time I was 3 months old. People have asked me, if you had things to do over, how would you do them differently? And the one thing that emphatically that I can say is that if I had something to change, I really wouldn't. You know, I was very, very proud of that my grandparents raised me, tried to teach me right from wrong, you know, and I've tried to instill that in my kids. And I think they gave me the drive that I have today, that my grandmother was a very strong woman. She made sure that everything was done the right way the first time kind of thing, and she pushed hard and pushed forward and moved forward. We never had a lot of money growing up. I never had, but I always had, my grandparents always made sure that I had clean clothes and decent clothes and food to eat and a roof over my head, but we never had any money. You know, so it wasn't like that at all. So I learned from a humble beginning that to appreciate what you have. And when you do get it, enjoy it, yet don't blow it.
Ray's grandfather was a coal miner.
In high school, it was well known that the way to make good money, to do well in West Virginia, is to get a job in the coal mines. My buddy that I graduated with, his dad owned the coal mines. He was the owner of several mines, actually. It was understood that Ray wanted a job in the mines as soon as he got out of high school. You know, so my buddy and I would play ball together, and I'd say, now your dad's gonna, it was called getting you on. Your dad's going to get me on at the mines, right? Your dad understands that I want to go to work there. Oh yeah, you're all hooked up, Ray. He'd say, you know, oh no problem, Ray. You know, yep, you're in. And it got to the point where I was out of school, I was ready to go to work, and all of a sudden it came to a dead end. It was like I hit a brick wall all of a sudden, and I'm like, what's going on? And he said, well, my dad just said there's not an opening now. And I'm thinking, well, what's that? He's been telling me all along. Of course there's an opening. But years later, my grandmother told me that the reason that you didn't go to work in the mines is because I kind of dared his dad to hire you. Because it was understood as well, in the state of West Virginia, if you go to work in the coal mines, it's a very, very dangerous job. Because you have to go back in those mines and dig for coal in very close quarters and in very dangerous quarters. And where mountains have caved in on many miners. And they've never come out once they go in. My grandmother knew that, and she knew that risk. My grandfather always worked in the mines. So it was her contention that if any way possible that my grandson doesn't have to work in the mines, I'm going to make sure that he doesn't. Yet she knew if she told me then, you know, that there'd be an argument with me. So she just called him up, I guess, and said, well, I don't guess, I know. She told me, you know, later that told him, said, no, you're not going to hire him. Growing up in the hills of West Virginia, in the small town that I grew up in, just the mere thought of wearing a tie was pretty impressive. When we'd see someone walking down the street in a suit and tie, everyone would kind of take notice. Everyone would kind of look. And that always impressed me. I'd always think, wow, wonder what he does. Wonder what she does, all dressed up, you know. And to me, just the mere thought of wearing a tie was quite impressive. So that was one of my goals, I guess, is to get out of there and get a white-collar job, wear a tie, and that's exactly what I did. I left West Virginia and moved to Columbus, Ohio, and started my upward track there.
While in Columbus, Ray appeared in his first television commercials on behalf of his brother Gary's business.
I've never seen so many dinettes in one place. This has to be the largest selection anywhere.
We do have the largest selection and guaranteed lowest prices in Columbus.
4200 West Broad, just across from Westland.
And I can stretch your salary at the Dinette Gallery. And from there, I went into wholesale furniture. I became a wholesale rep for a soft goods manufacturer out of Norwalk, Ohio, Norwalk Furniture. And that's what brought me to St. Louis. I was so determined that I was willing to persevere whatever it took whatever obstacles may have come in my way to get ahead. Because growing up in the hills of West Virginia, you had a couple choices. There weren't a whole lot. There was a sales position that came open in the St. Louis area, which covered all of Missouri, southern Illinois, northeastern Arkansas, part of Kentucky, and part of Tennessee. So it required me traveling a tremendous amount of time. I'd leave on Sunday and come back on Friday evening. That's one of those jobs where you're kind of here today and gone tomorrow. You're paid on a 1099 kind of thing. You're almost self-employed because you don't really answer to anyone. And when a new regime comes in to that manufacturer, sometimes they bring their own people with them. So you truly are here today and gone tomorrow kind of thing. So there's no stability, or was never any stability in that, and you never anticipated. When I lost my job there is when I got back into the home equity lending field. That's when someone said to me, why don't we do these home equity loans? Why don't we call customers up, like customers from Beneficial that are paying 16% or 18%, and offer them a lower rate? And with my consumer finance background, doing these home equity loans was just second nature to me. I mean, it all made sense to me. The public didn't really realize that they could go to the bank and get that 16% rate loan for maybe 11% until we told them, until we educated them, until we made them aware that you could do that. And that's how it all began.
And in 2001, Ray was the recipient of the prestigious Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award.
And Ray is just one of those guys where you listen to his story and you really know that when he talks about success, you really know that he earned it.
You know, it's the American dream. You know, everybody wants to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and be somebody, and that's exactly what he did.
I think of him as a great American entrepreneur because he had a vision, and he has always stuck with that, and he has pursued it relentlessly.
When I was born, where he had himself, he probably considered himself successful at that point. But he still strived for more, and he wanted more, so he got up to the next level. And he did all that by working hard, and no one handed him anything. He did all that himself. He started a company with $7,000 that he borrowed from his grandmother. And by doing that, he grew that into the 10th largest privately owned mortgage company in the United States. So that is what I consider success. Being the son of Ray Vinson and seeing that, you know, the bar's set pretty high.
It feels really good to have my children involved in my business, in our business. Yet it was never designed like that. And it just so happened, one of them was my son Sean. Another one was my daughter Erica. Another one happened to be Stephanie, my youngest daughter. And the next thing you know, all three of us are working together along with my son-in-law Kevin. So it's nice to have family surrounding you, because trust is so important in business today. And that's just been one of my top priorities, is surrounding myself with people that you can trust.
The qualities that my dad has instilled in me, I believe, are perseverance. My dad does not take no for an answer. He also taught me that it never hurts to ask. The worst thing somebody could do is say no or I'm sorry, but he is not afraid to go for what he wants.
I learned a lot just by watching and being there with him. And I try to mimic those in my daily abilities.
Working with my kids is just one of the greatest joys ever.
Ray has been the person in my life since I've known him. I've almost seen him as being like a second father to me. Since my dad's passed away, I've always looked up to Ray as being somebody that's like a foundation for me.
You fall in love with him when you first meet him, and then you get really lucky if he ends up being in your camp, and that's kind of where I am with Ray. And I think it's his honesty, his integrity, and just the way he cares about people. He's passionate about his business. He doesn't want to just sell things to people. He wants to make sure they work. He sells products that work, and whatever he says on the radio that his business does, they really do it.